October 6, 2025, at exactly 0023, two bright fireballs tore through the night sky above Saki Airport in Novorivka, located on the western coast of the Crimean Peninsula. This was no ordinary attack. It was the opening note of a massive, carefully orchestrated operation aimed at crippling Russia's southern flank. When the sirens began blaring at the Russian Black Sea Fleet Command Center in Sevastopol, the radar screens lit up with dozens of targets approaching from the west and north of the peninsula. Each dot that appeared on the screen was a threat. This was the sound of an army of 63 unmanned aerial vehicles and 3 Peklo missile drones, each serving a different purpose, taking off from different points in Ukraine. The Russian Lieutenant General commanding Crimea's integrated air defense system did not hesitate. He gave the order, "Engage all targets." This was exactly the reaction Ukrainian planners had anticipated. S-400 batteries, Pantsir, S-1, and TOR M1 systems launched a missile barrage that lit up the sky. However, each interceptor missile launched was a step toward closing the trapped steel jaws. Each missile launch provided Ukraine's signals intelligence SIGINT units with an invaluable data package: the battery's exact location, the frequency range of its engagement radar, and its reaction time. The Russian air defense network had swallowed the bait and fallen into the trap. But this was merely a diversion. What was actually happening was akin to a chess master deliberately allowing his opponent to see all his potential moves. The real hunters were approaching silently and low, in the electronic and physical shadows created by this chaos. Behind this veil of chaos, from a secret launch site near Odessa, the deadliest hunters of the night began their journey of approximately 300 kilometers. 2 heavy Peklo missile drones weighing 1,300 kilograms each, and 4 UJ-26 Bober drones carrying 50-kilogram warheads. Simultaneously, 4 lighter AQ-400 Scythe UAVs took off from a point closer to the Kherson front line. The genius of the plan was based on flawless timing that would allow these platforms, with their different speeds and ranges, to converge over the target within seconds after flights of hundreds of kilometers. Traveling at approximately 200 kilometers per hour, the Bober's journey would take nearly 2 hours. The Peklo, reaching speeds of 700 kilometers per hour, would reach the target in 35 to 40 minutes. At 0145 hours, the main striking force was approaching the western coast of Crimea. To evade radar, they were advancing just 30 to 50 meters above the sea surface, surfing between the waves. This altitude meant they were below the radar horizon of Russia's main air defense radars such as the 91N6E Big Bird system in the S-400. As they approached the peninsula, a Krasuka 4 system created a wide-spectrum GPS jamming zone. This was a deadly threat to standard UAVs. However, these platforms were designed for this very moment. The flight computers instantly rejected the corrupted satellite signal and switched to their primary guidance system, the inertial navigation system using high-precision ring laser gyroscopes and accelerometers. Russia's biggest trump card, electronic warfare, was rendered ineffective with a single software command. This was not a random attack, but a surgically precise operation designed to paralyze the Russian logistics ecosystem in Crimea. Before reaching the main target, supporting elements had to be eliminated. The first surgical strike was directed at Ivazovskaya train station, the railway artery leading to the logistical heart of Feodosia. 3 AQ-400 Scythe UAVs, modified with 30-kilogram penetrating warheads, infiltrated at low altitude while air defenses were focused elsewhere. The first UAV targeted the station's administrative building and signaling center, crippling command and control. The other 2 physically damaged the railway tracks by targeting switches and rails. The railway connection between the Feodosia terminal and the southern front was severed. Simultaneously, another deadly package was approaching the main ammunition depot belonging to the 18th Combined Arms Army. 4 UJ-26 Bober drones equipped with 50-kilogram high explosives, and 1 Peklo missile drone with its massive 120-kilogram warhead struck the target. The result was apocalyptic. Hundreds of tons of artillery shells, Grad rockets, and S-300 missiles detonated simultaneously. A massive fireball lit up the night sky, and the seismic shockwave was felt kilometers away. In a single night, the 18th Army's ammunition reserves were not just depleted, they were vaporized. While these attacks were taking place, the spearhead of the operation was making its final approach to the lifeblood of Crimea, the Feodosia Maritime Oil Terminal. This package, consisting of 10 platforms including 4 AQ-400 Scythe UAVs, 4 UJ-26 Bober drones, and 2 heavy Peklo missile drones, was designed to stop Russia's war machine in the south. Due to the general state of alert on the peninsula, lower-tier air defense systems around the terminal opened fire. A Panzer battery locked onto an approaching Bober, launching a 57 × 10 to the power of 6 missile capable of speeds of approximately 1,300 meters per second. However, as the missile progressed toward its target, the nightmare scenario unfolded. The tactical display suddenly filled with 5, 6, 7 new targets appearing almost simultaneously from multiple directions. The system was now facing a logic crisis. In the ensuing clash, 1 Scythe and 2 Bober were shot down. However, the remaining 7 strike assets were locked onto their targets. First, an AQ-400 Scythe struck the first fuel tank, acting as a penetrator to weaken the thick steel construction. Immediately afterward, a second Scythe and the first Peklo missile with its 120-kilogram warhead struck the same point within seconds of each other. The armor reached saturation point, and the massive tank turned into a fireball. Simultaneously, an AQ-400 Scythe and the second Peklo missile performed a similar sequential strike on the second fuel tank. A second massive explosion lit up the night. Finally, 2 UJ-26 Bober missiles and the last AQ-400 Scythe took advantage of the chaos and headed for the third tank. The chain reaction and intense heat from the first 2 explosions triggered the third tank to ignite. Within 10 seconds, the heart of the Feodosia terminal was pierced by over 500 kilograms of high explosives, each precisely targeted. The result was an inevitable inferno. By 02:30 hours, the flames were so high they could be seen from dozens of kilometers away. NASA firm's satellite imagery confirmed multiple large fires at the terminal's location. The intensity of the fire necessitated the evacuation of approximately 250 to 300 civilians from nearby residential areas. Initial reports spoke of an accident, an industrial malfunction, a leak, static electricity discharge, human error. This is the system's first line of defense, assuming the predictable, the manageable. But 3 chains of confirmation converged to shatter this comforting scenario. First, initial reports leaked from official Russian Ministry of Defense channels confirmed the strike. Second, emergency bulletins from international news agencies ran under headlines like, "Major Fire in Feodosia." Third, and most definitive, were the cold digital data captured by thermal imaging satellites, indisputably recording the size of the flames and the massive column of smoke. On the night of October 6th, the Russian Ministry of Defense issued a statement claiming that more than 40 UAVs had been destroyed over Crimea. This figure could have been technically accurate. However, it was an admission of failure, not success. Because in asymmetric warfare, the measure of success for the defender is 100%, stopping all threats. For the attacker, the measure of success is 1%, just one platform reaching its target. The Feodosia Maritime Oil Terminal was not just a storage facility. With its enormous capacity of 250,000 tons, this facility was the beating heart of Russia's military operations on its southern front. It stored diesel fuel powering T-90M and T-72B3 tank units, TS-1 jet fuel keeping Ka, 52 Alligator attack helicopters and Su-25 Frogfoot aircraft operational, and heavy marine fuel determining the range of caliber cruise missiles launched from Admiral Grigorovich-class frigates. A single day's interruption at this terminal could affect the operational tempo of an entire tank brigade, limit air regiment sorties, and disrupt fleet patrol plans. This attack turned the existing fuel crisis in Crimea into complete collapse. Even before the attack, approximately 50% of gas stations on the peninsula had stopped selling gasoline. With Feodosia out of commission, fuel rationing began for both civilian population and occupying forces. Russia had mobilized its best technology to protect this strategic asset. Crimea was home to one of the world's most dense and sophisticated integrated air defense systems, a layered defense philosophy with components communicating and covering each other's weaknesses. At the pinnacle was the S-400 Triumph system, supported by Panzer and TOR systems. In theory, this system was impenetrable. The S-400 would detect, transmit data, and the Panzer and TOR would destroy. Each layer would cover the gaps of the previous one. However, the backbone of this operation was not a $1 million stealth aircraft or hypersonic missile. The weapon was a physical manifestation of modern asymmetric warfare philosophy, long-range one-way attack unmanned aerial vehicles developed by Ukraine using its own resources. This was the 21st century equivalent of David's slingshot, relying not on brute force but on intelligence, cost-effectiveness, and the ability to subvert enemy expectations. While a single S-400 interceptor missile costs millions of dollars, the production cost of these UAVs was in the tens of thousands. This economic asymmetry created an equation where the aggressor, willing to lose dozens of UAVs, forced the defender to waste exponentially more expensive missiles. This was a war of attrition, not of steel, but of the enemy's economy and ammunition stocks. Ultimately, this operation marks a significant evolution in Ukrainian military strategy. It demonstrates mature capability in planning and executing complex operations integrating intelligence, deception, and multi-platform precision strikes. This single operation will necessitate a fundamental reassessment of integrated air defense doctrine globally. This attack will serve as a definitive case study on the power of massed unmanned systems. Thank you for choosing us. The targets mentioned in this operation, the Saki Air Base, Kacha Air Base, 18th Army Ammunition Depot, Ivazovskaya train station, and most importantly the Feodosia refinery, are entirely real. Furthermore, these targets were under attack by Ukrainian forces at the specified times.